Hey guys, it is Dusty Amatangelo with the FBI Group, and we are back today with Ask a Pro. Today, I've got one of our very own, Shane Rayburn, with us. Shane is our inspector manager, and he's actually the third employee. Well, yes, no, you're the second employee of the company. I was the first. So Shane's been with us now 8 years, right, Shane?
Just about coming up to it.
Yeah, so amazing. The longevity of our inspectors speaks volumes about our culture, and so we're super happy to hear that. So we're going to start out today. We're going to talk about WDOs, or wood destroying organisms. And Shane, give me a little bit of bio about you, who you are, and why you oversee our WDO training.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me today, Dusty. I appreciate it, and hopefully, I can shed a little bit of light on the subject. But my family was actually in the pest control industry even back before I was born.
Wow.
And yes, they did have pest control back in the Middle Ages, believe it or not. But Yeah, so I grew up around it. I remember going to the office with my dad, and just they had a bunch of bugs pinned on the wall, and I just thought that was the most fascinating thing I'd ever seen. So I grew up around it. My family was in the business. I got into the business with my family. I actually ended up starting my own pest control business and owned it for almost 20 years.
Okay.
Sold it, went to work for a big national company as the branch manager in Tampa. So I've been around it all my life. I'm actually certified not only in WDO, but all pest control categories, general household pest and rodent control, fumigation, and lawn and ornamental. Um, so I
So
just
to
have,
say that you're a pro on the subject of our bugs would be putting that mildly, right?
I, I have a bit of experience, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So Shane, with the FBI, I understand you offer WDOs
that is correct, along with the home inspection.
with the home inspection. Okay.
Correct,
And
yes.
are all of the inspectors currently certified through
Actually, yes, they are. We had one that we were working on getting trained, and he actually just finished his training this week. So yes, all of our inspectors will be certified WDO inspectors going forth after today.
So, what does that mean to an agent who's calling in who needs a WDO?
Well, it's actually a huge time saver for them. Normally, you have to call your home inspector to do the home inspection. Um, Maybe you might have another inspection that you need, a mold test or a water test that that particular home inspector is not certified to do. You want to get a termite inspection, the WDO. The home inspector is typically not licensed to do that, so you have to call somebody else. So you end up having to make 3 or 4 appointments, for one house, and it's just very inconvenient, not only for the agent but for the buyer, the seller, everyone involved. So with the FBI group, with our inspectors being certified for WDO inspections, it's a one-stop shop. You just make one appointment. We all, we go in there, do all of the inspections in one shot, give you the report, and you're all done. No more
Well,
hassle.
I just want to clarify there's two that we do not do. We cannot look at wells and we do not do septic. So, but other than that, I think we've got
Correct.
you covered on that one stop shop. All
Yep.
right. So, what is the advantage of hiring an inspector who is WDO certified versus an inspector who is not WDO certified?
The laws in the state of Florida regarding the pest control industry are very strict.
Hmm.
Um, so in order to perform a WDO inspection, you have to be licensed through the state of Florida, actually by a different or government agency through the state. So if you just have a home inspector that's not WDO certified and they find any WDO damage, they have to be very vague on how they report it. In other words, if they find termite damage, they have to call it insect damage.
Okay.
Or if they see wood decaying fungi, they have to say, wood rot or water damage. They can't be specific because they're not certified to do so. The state would consider that practicing without a license.
Okay.
So if you have a WDO certified inspector, they can identify that damage as being not only termite damage, but what type of termite, whether it be drywood termites or subterranean termites. Um, water damage or wood rot on a piece of wood, can be identified as wood decaying fungi. So that's a big advantage to the client knowing the type of damage it is because they know how to proceed, going forward with treatment. They don't have
Okay.
to consult someone else to tell them what it is.
Okay. All right. So what exactly is a WDO? What does it stand for, and what are you looking for when you're completing a WDO inspection?
Sure. Well, WDO stands for wood destroying organisms. Most people call it a termite inspection, but actually it encompasses a little bit more than just termites. We do inspect for termites, namely drywood termites and subterranean termites. But we also inspect for certain kinds of wood boring beetles and also wood decaying fungi. Those are all inspected and reported on with the inspection.
Okay. So I get asked this all the time by agents. So does this report include like carpenter's ants, cockroaches, any kind of like pest infestation? Is any of that notated on a WDO?
Not on the WDO report. It's
Okay.
very specific to what it asks for. It's actually on a form issued by the state. Anyone in the state of Florida that does a WDO inspection has to use the same report form. And it asks for termites, namely subterranean and drywood,
Hmm.
two types of wood boring beetles,
Hmm.
old house borers and powder post beetles, and that's because those can reinfest seasoned wood. There are other types of wood boring beetles, but they don't reinfest the structure. Once they fly out, they're gone. They don't come back.
Okay.
And then wood decaying fungi. Nothing else is reported on the WDO form. Now, if we're doing it along with a home inspection and we see an infestation of, like, say, ants or roaches or, whatever it may be, then we may include that on the home inspection report
Hmm.
as a courtesy. But that does not go on the WDO report.
Okay. So do you do standalones, or are you just only doing these inspections when you're ordering a home inspection?
We actually only do them along with the home inspection. There's just some, limitations and liabilities with our contracts and, insurance that don't allow us to do it by themselves. But we will be happy to do it along with the home inspection.
Okay. And so how much does a WDO cost?
It is $150.
Okay.
That includes the inspection and the report that you get along with your other reports, whatever you may have ordered.
Okay. And then Shane, so if you find, let's say you find subterranean termites or drywood termites, what would be the client's next step? What would they do? What would we recommend that they do, and then what should they do?
Sure. Well, and actually, that's another advantage to having the home inspector be WDO certified. As I said earlier, when you're not certified, you can only identify it as insect damage. And you just find it, you take a photo, that's it, you move on. When you're doing a WDO inspection, when you find the damage, you can not only identify it as what type of termite damage it may be, but you're actually required by the standards of practice on a WDO to probe the wood to find out if there's any live activity within the wood. And all that information gives the client a good direction on how to proceed going forward. Again, like I said, if it was just identified as insect damage, then they would have to consult a pest control professional and find out what type of insect damage it was, and what they need to do. But since we can identify it, say, as drywood termite damage, then we can say, okay, your next step would be some type of treatment. You can do a spot treatment or a fumigation. If you have subterranean termite damage, you can do a treat around the soil. You can put the bait stations in. Obviously, if we find live activity, we can convey that to the customer and say,
Excuse me.
God bless you. Not only do you have damage, you actually have live termites, so it needs to be treated for sure. We have to report on
Sorry.
any type of, that's all right, no problem. Any type of previous treatment that's been done.
Oh, oh no, we lost Shane. We'll give him a minute and see if he pops back in. He is mobile today and he's actually in his
Um,
car.
yeah. Hey,
All
did
right.
I lose you?
We did. We lost
Oh, I'm
you.
sorry.
I explained that you were mobile today, so that's
Oh, yeah.
okay.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's
All
okay.
right. So, yeah. So if we find, the damage and we find that it's been treated recently, then that's another, uh, piece of valuable information for the client to say, hey, I found this damage, but it's been treated. You should be under warranty. You can, usually assume that warranty. Just get with the homeowner and they can pass along that information to you. So just by being very specific with the type of damage, whether there's live activity or not, whether it's been treated or not,
Okay.
just really allows the client to move forward in a better direction.
Okay. So to kind of sum this all up, so everybody who comes here from another state is always afraid of our bugs. Um, best thing that we can tell you
That's
as a
well, they should
home.
be.
Yeah. Well, they can do some damage, there's no doubt. But the
Yeah,
best thing we can tell you is make sure that first thing that you do when you purchase a home is that you have pest control company, that you hire them and that you start a regular treatment program, right? Because if there
absolutely.
is something going on, they're going to find it, they're going to notify you, and you can treat it now rather than later. So we
Right.
always recommend that you find a good pest control company to work with. Um, if you need any additional information, we're always here as a resource. Shane's a wealth of information. We've had agents take pictures of insects that they're not sure what they are, and they send them over, or damage, what that damage is. And Shane's been pretty easily been able to identify exactly what they are. Rather, they're flying ants, because yes, we have flying ants down here as well, that sometimes get mistaken for termites. But we're here as a resource for you, so please remember, we're here. We can be a resource and answer questions before anybody needs to panic. So don't panic about our bugs. Knowledge is power, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is give you knowledge. So Shane, thank you for being with us today. I appreciate you
Yep.
sharing your bits of knowledge. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience before we sign off?
No, just appreciate the time, and I hope I was able to educate everyone a little bit. And yeah, just glad to be here.
Very good. So join us next week. We've got utility helpers on. They're a concierge moving service, and we're going to discuss how they can make your life simpler as an agent and as a new home buyer. So we'll see you next week, Friday at noon. Bye bye.